Hey, what's up, Hookah people? It's a beautiful day here in SoCal. There's a question on YouTube about what people like to use for heat management. A lot of people were saying Lotus. A lot of people still like using foil. It's really easy to use. You know, you cut your foil, pre-punch your holes, and you just throw it away when you're done. I used to use foil. I have never used a Lotus because I think they're about like $30 and I just didn't need it. Foil is really cheap. But at the same time, I didn't like the idea of having to pre-cut foil, having to punch holes in it, get my hands messy, and having to buy more foil if I ever run out. I never run out of foil. Foil is really cheap, but it's another thing that I don't have to spend money on using what I use right now, which is one of those, I think it's called a foil saver, and it's basically a metal hookah bowl screen that's got metal tabs on it. You bend it down, it fits over your hookah bowl, and it's got pre-punch holes. It does the same exact thing as foil, but it's not as bulky as a Lotus. The charcoal that I use is 100% lump charcoal, so you've got really big pieces, right? Really chunky. They've got to be broken down for me to fit it on top of my setup, which is why I've never used a Lotus, because it just won't fit in there. Also, they ash a lot. Lump charcoal ashes a lot more than regular coconut coals, and using this metal screen just helps me to keep everything. It's got a wide base, so it helps keep everything stable. There's nothing to knock over except for the coals. I'll give you guys a look at what my setup is, what the foil saver thingy that I'm using is, and try and answer some of your questions. Okay guys, so here's my setup. I've got a KM full cast mini 21-inch. I believe it's the smaller version of the Beast. It's my third hookah. I'm not gonna go into that too much. Here's what we're here for. Pardon the mess. We're in my backyard, and this is the metal hookah screen that I use. So the reason why I like this is it replaces foil, so I don't have to pre-cut any foil. You know, usually I'll pre-cut squares of foil and keep in a Ziploc and put it in a little bag. So that's the reason why I like this. The holes are pretty they're pretty comparable to a toothpick, maybe slightly larger, and the material is pretty durable. This is not flimsy at all. You know, I don't know if you can see, but it's about as thick as my tongs that I'm using. So here are my tongs, just cheap. I think they're Maya tongs. And the metal on this, it's about the same. There are other foil savers that I've seen that it was like $1 less. But this one actually came off of a hookah bowl. I don't know who makes it. It might have been generic. It might have been a brand name. Let's see if I can get this to focus. There you go. There's the tong right underneath it, and there's the hookah bowl screen. I was able to get it for like $3. You know, $2.99, or it was actually $1.99. But anyway, it lets me set larger pieces of the lump charcoal that I use, and you know, it doesn't add any bulk to my setup, because you know that with a Lotus you have like an 1.5 inches or whatever. Okay, we are back inside. I'm in my room right now. I had to come in because it was getting dark outside. But what I was saying was, I like that the screen is very low profile compared to the Lotus, which sits about 1 inch over your hookah bowl. And because this is flat, there's actually also a little rim here to help keep things from falling out. But this on top of your hookah bowl, there's really nothing to knock over. You know, like if you were using a Lotus and it comes up an inch past your bowl, I'm assuming it doesn't sit on there perfectly. With this, you have the metal tabs that clip onto your bowl, so it doesn't slide around. You can flip the whole bowl over, and it'll still be on there. So that's why I like it. It's low profile, nothing to knock over. Had to come inside because it was getting dark, but I wanted to show you know, what it looks like on the bowl. So that's my Egyptian bowl. It's just a Egyptian clay bowl that came with my KM. So I'm not smoking tonight because I just came from the gym and I'm still dehydrated, and I don't know, just not feeling it tonight. But I wanted to show you how I clip this on here. When you first when I first got this, the metal tabs were just flat, just sticking out, flaring out from the sides. And what I did was I set this on top, and I kind of you just press them down. So what I do is you kind of set some of them underneath the bowl. I'm not going to pack it because I'm not smoking tonight. I set some of the tabs underneath the bowl, and the ones that are left, you just pop them in. And it just sits like that. You know, so the tabs go all the way around, and it stays on there. There's a little play because this screen did come from a like a specialty hookah bowl. I don't know what, I think it was one of the bigger hookah bowls where there was a divider and you can put two different flavors of tobacco in there, and it just happened to come with a screen. But I didn't need that. I like my regular Egyptian clay bowls here. So that's pretty much how it works. The way I take it off, let's say if I needed a head change, I would take my tongs and I just stick them under here, and it just pries up. It just pries up like that. So I take my tongs, kind of lift it up left and right, kind of turning it, and it pops off. And you know, you could change out your tobacco. Now the way I clean this, what I do is I'll take a coffee mug, heat up some water, stick it in the microwave for about 3 to 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, to get it to slightly boiling. Then I would take this, I would scrape off as much of the tobacco as I could, the dried up tobacco. The screen should still be pretty hot. This is a heavier gauge of metal, so you don't want to touch it. That's why I use when I'm taking it off of the bowl, that's why I use the tongs. Because this does get really hot. It gets very hot. It gets about, and depending on how many pieces of lump charcoal I have on there, it gets over 600 degrees. I know because I have a infrared thermometer, and I've played around with it and I've gotten the temperature off of it. So they get hot. You don't want to touch it. Use your tongs. Like I said, to clean it, put it in a bowl of hot water, let it sit for a minute or two, just until it stops boiling. And what I like to do is I'll take my tongs and I'll take a little sponge or some type of a rag, or if you have a the abrasive dishwashing sponges to clean your dishes off, just take one of those, and I'll clip I'll clip onto it with my tongs, and I'll just scrape over the tobacco in this whole area while it's underneath the water. And the heat from the water, the heat from here, and scraping it off of, scraping the tobacco off with the sponge. It's really easy. Comes off really easy. You don't even really need to scrub. The scratches on here are just from when the tobacco is caked on there because it got burned. And before I wash it, I would just use my tongs and just scrape off as much of it as I could. So that is the metal hookah screen. Actually, I think I have a toothpick. Let's see. I have a toothpick right here. I just want to get an idea of what the holes are. The width of the holes. So, okay. It's about toothpick width, a little bit smaller. I would say it reaches pretty much after the tip. So yeah, it's about toothpick with those holes. I like it. Like I said, there are metal hookah screens that are cheaper out there that are not as durable as this. They're a little flimsy, and the holes are a little bit bigger, but they still work. I've used the cheaper ones. They work just as well. They're just not as durable. This one came with a special hookah bowl, so that's what I got. Tomorrow in the morning, I'm probably going to just take a quick picture of the screen, my hookah bowl, and my hookah, and just to give you an idea of how it sets up. I really like it. It's better than foil. I don't have to mess around with cutting foil up, keeping it in a bag, having to keep it on me all the time. Don't have to go to the kitchen. So yeah, that's what I got. That is the metal hookah bowl screen.